Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Okay guys, we're going to deep dive Faction Wars hard. We need to prepare. We need to get ready for what these different conditions are when we face them, and we also need to face new bosses as well. I'm going to do the bosses in a separate video because I think there's going to be a lot to go through in the conditions to be able to earn 3 stars. Now, we saw yesterday there's some pretty good loot that is available for Faction Wars hard, be it the new relics specifically for Faction Wars, which I went through in the video yesterday. There's shards in here, there's soul stones in here, legendary books, that type of stuff, mythical book. I don't know if it's books. I think it might be one. Some gems, shards, all that type of stuff. So there's some pretty decent rewards. And then the actual mythical, I think, is going to be kind of bonkers. So, you know, as mythicals are. So, yeah, we're going to be working towards it. But I didn't spot this yesterday when I was doing my kind of like video around how this is going to work. This is where the conditions are. So if you literally come into the little info button at the bottom of the page when this goes live, there'll be a conditions for 3 stars. And then we've got all of the different factions here laid out. So we're just going to go through faction by faction and try and understand if there's any kind of like big blockers that we need to overcome. There's also some great comments, by the way, through Discord and stuff. People are already spitballing ideas. Obviously, we can use sets to do a bunch of this stuff, right? So instantly here I see provoke, I see stun, things like being able to increase or decrease skill cooldowns can be done with sets. So you know, you could use things like reflex set or merciless set. So there's going to be a number of ways to get this done rather than just needing one specific champ, which is good. Reduce enemy max HP. You could use the what's the set we never use anymore? You know the one. You know the one. Where is it? Destroy set. Destroy set. I just need to see the color. Yeah, you can use destroy set to do things like that. So I think there's going to be a number of different like strategies depending on the different factions. Just go through here. Reduce enemy max HP, destroy set, or we can look for some champs for that. Provokes and stuns. Manipulate buff or debuff duration 20 times for banner lords. Land a lot of hits on enemies under leech. Manipulate turn meter, so that can be up or down. Clear the stage in 100 turns, should be pretty easy on stage 7. If you're on hard already, I guess depending on the quality of the enemies, right? Reduce HP again, provoke. Use 3 epics. Defeat all enemies when they have no buffs on them. That's interesting. So you either have someone in there with block buffs, or it's kind of like a manual run. I think a lot of these might end up being manual runs. In fact, I just want to check something. I want to check if there's any counters going on here. So let's go into one that's open right now, Ogren Tribes. See where we need to do like a count for something. Ogren Tribes, poisons, right? So obviously you can use poison sets here, but I wonder if they've got anything in here to indicate that we're doing it. So let's grab someone that does poisons. Cool filtering here that I can literally just come in and be like, right, debuffs, who does poisons in my roster? Perfect. Okay, we've got a few. In fact, this should be quite easy. So we're going to the start. I could turn on 3 times once I've beaten this, by the way, which is cool. Just interested if they've done something. I hope they have. I hope they have. Let us know, especially if we're manualing it. I don't think they have. Poisons out there. Anything telling me that I'm achieving my goal anywhere? Oh, it is. Cool. So I'm going to... Well done, Raid. Sorry for doubting you. Well done. So to get 3 stars, I need to place 20 poisons, and there is a count in pause. So I can see if I'm hitting my goal, which is awesome. Okay, we needed that. We needed that. Yeah, I felt like it could have been on the screen, but still, that's cool to see. So that is good. That is good. Okay, let's go back to where we were. So let's just see if there's anything else which feels like, I guess, disturbingly hard. So lots of stuns. Again, stun sets with AoE champions would be something we could look at, or just people that do straight AoE stun. Defeat all enemies when they've got no buffs. Yep, just seen that one. Do not receive more than 10 debuffs. Again, this is tough, but this will be like try and control the enemies before they're able to do stuff to you. And it, again, might be a bunch of manual gameplay. Clear in 150 turns. That's the boss fight. Beat the stage with all champions alive at all times. No revives helping you. Defeat 3 enemies using ally attack or counter attack. We'll check that one. Don't land weak hits. That's an affinity thing. The stages tool will help us here to understand exactly what we're up against and whether there's a multitude of different affinity champs. There probably will be. So it might be that this is more like a bring voids or you know, tweak your gear sets. Defeat 4 enemies before they take a turn. So you've got to absolutely nuke people or turn me to control them. Get an extra 5 turns. Or an extra turn 5 times. Okay, we'll check that one as well. Keep your champions high health. That's probably like bring shields and again, crowd control the enemies. And then clear the boss in 200 turns. So main ones to consider here are, can we take extra turns with this faction? And ally attacks and counterattacks. That was for what? Bannerlords, right? For Bannerlords. Ally attacks and extra turn mechanic. Really, I want to look on epics as well so that people can actually get this done. Yeah, honestly, I think the best place to come here to just try and find some of this stuff out is just to filter on your Bannerlords and then just look for some of the different things. So, you know, who... let's just get Bolt in the mix as well. Who's able to do counterattack? Literally just Seagull here. Who's able to do, of the champions that I own anyway, who's able to do things like an ally attack? Marishka. So I think some of that stuff is going to be tough to do. I think, yeah, it's going to be pretty challenging to get some of these things away. There's no way to... I wonder if stuff like Avenging Set counts as... So Relentless obviously can give us our extra turns. It is a counterattack, yeah. So for things like retaliation sets, again, sets are going to end up becoming way bigger, I think, in terms of getting some of this stuff done. Some of the more like niche things within a group. So it's not just going to be like champion dependent. There's definitely going to be an element of thinking through how do you achieve what we're looking for. So have a look at High Elves. Heal by a lot. Place freezes. Pixneals don't get a time. Stuns. Obviously, freeze can come through sets as well. Stuns through sets if we need it. Reduce enemy max HP. Manipulate buffs. Turn meter will be easy in this faction. Just seeing if there's anything like stands out as tricky here. Then we've got the extra turns in there. Weak hits in there. Defeat before they take a turn. Defeat 3 enemies using ally attack or counter attack. Yeah, pretty similar stuff there. Okay. Nothing too drastic. Maybe we've actually seen pretty much most of the different things here. Manipulate buffs or debuffs. Yeah, all feel quite uniform after that, right? So once you've seen 1 or 2 sets, they feel pretty similar. And most of the stuff here, okay, you need some like healers in the group. You need, you know, some where you've got epics or whatever. But generally, it's like I could probably use sets to help me with the things that feel tricky or feel dodgy, I guess. But there will be a lot of silver and re-gearing going on. This is why I think they've just got way more areas of the game now where we need to change our builds, right? You've got Sintranos. Honestly, you should be changing your builds a lot to get through some of the hard Sintranos stuff. You know, we've got different arena modes. We've got Siege, where you might want to lock in good builds for particular champs. We've now got Faction War Hard, where we want to do different builds. Like, we basically just need free change of loadout now. We're at that point where the game needs to evolve and give us free change of loadout. They did it for like a 2-week period. The game just felt way more fun. There was way more chance to experiment. Don't let your enemies use any active skills on stage 19. So again, this is either like crowd control them so they don't even take a turn, or lock out enemies. So which is this? Skinwalkers. So we've got a lockout here. Increased skill cooldown. So I think this would be the one. Yeah, Basher. Okay. So this is, unless you stop them taking a turn completely, this is like Basher's time to shine, where he's got his A2 to just increase the cooldown of all skills. You might even be running him, because it's an AoE as well. You might just be running him in a stun set to try and also help lock people out. But this will be one of those situations, again, where you're running someone, like specifically for this content, but you're probably going to be manual in the fight, so that wave 1, you've always got this available. You know, wave 2, it's then back at the start of the turn, and you're cycling through this as quick as you can. So you might even put him in something like a reflex set or whatever to be able to get that done. But if you don't have that, then you basically would need to lock the enemy out of taking turns. So basically using crowd control like non-stop. Let's check out Orcs. Provoke stun, manipulate skill cooldowns 10 times. So this is an interesting one. So I was thinking, oh Christ, you just need Warlord. Actually, Reflex or Merciless will do this. Someone also sent me a message. Props to Liero. And I don't know if this works because I don't have all of the factions unlocked right now, but it says, quick question about Faction Wars Hard mode. I see the comments popping up around skill cooldowns. I wonder if you could use Fear, or specifically True Fear, and proc putting the skill on cooldown. I don't know if that works or not. I don't think it works. I think it's a different mechanic, but it will definitely be an interesting one to try when we're able to. But that's definitely an interesting one. Defeat when they've got no buffs. So yeah, outside of Warlord though. So Warlord would be the champ that could do it, but outside of that, obviously we've got other options. This is interesting as well. So Demon Spawn, Bombs, we'll check that a couple of times. And Perfect Veil. Defeat 10 champions while your champs are under Perfect Veil. And Place Block Revives. So 3 different tricky ones here on Demon Spawn. So firstly, Bombs. Yeah, it's fine if you've got Mythicals. Okay, so we do have Terror Beast in the mix. And then obviously it's possible to have, and we do have a rare as well in Malbranche. How many bombs is she putting out there? 1. Yikes. Terror Beast though does put out a decent amount of bombs. What's he got here? AoE 2 times. So he could do a few. Perfect Veil. Christ, is that just Duchess? Surely not. So we've got a few Veil. Candy as well. Okay, hold on. What's going on here with Baroness? Places Perfect Veil on an ally for 3 turns. Damn, she might end up being the secondary go-to for Demon Spawn. What's the other thing that we saw? Block Revives as well. We can all eventually get Carnage, but obviously tricky to get. And then we've got a couple as well. So it looks like they've tried to make sure that if there's a pretty specific one, there are epics in the faction that can get there. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be tricky. Some of these are going to be tough and probably long plays to be able to get some of this done. But yeah, how many was it as well? 10 block revives. So let's say you didn't have Carnage yet and you were trying to use, Viscerator there. To get 10 away is going to take a while because you've got to control the rest of the enemies for so long to try and get those kills done. Let's have a look. Next one, Undead. Poisons, going to be easy. Leeches. And 60 plus hits on enemies that have got Leech. I think when they do this, it's generally if they've given us like a free champion that can help with that. We can check the Leeches though in this faction. Again, we've got this ally attack or counter attack. True Fear and Fear. So let's have a look for Leech and True Fear and Undead. It's going to be tough. Unless there's some that I don't own right now. Leech is going to be easier. So we've got Corpse Collector here. We've got Vogoth. And then a couple of legendaries. But yeah, some of those are going to be tough. Some of those are going to be tough. Definitely was it Fear or True Fear? Or was it just True Fear? Was Fear as well. Okay. That might be a bit more achievable. I guess what we're going to do on the website is just have like a breakdown of all of these different challenges. We'll get to a point where we're just like looking at the different options that you will have. So did it change anything? Maybe there's rares that I just don't own right now, but this is the type of play that we're going to have to do is just go through and find ways to be able to beat these challenges. It's going to be pretty damn tricky on some of them. Poisons, freezes, defeat enemies while they're under Hex in Dark Elves, and we've got a Perfect Veil one here as well. So Hex and Perfect Veil in Dark Elves. Let's check the Perfect Veil first. Yikes. Okay, here he is, the cleric. The cleric's coming in. He's like, I've got my time to shine. I'm going to be putting veils on people. Right. Probably like how many times have we fed these guys? And then Hex as well. Let's have a look at Hex. Oh, my eyes are slow today. Where are you? There we go. Okay, so yeah, again, Mithrala here is someone that we can all pick up, which I think is what they're thinking. Is like if there's a legendary only type of vibe, then it's and actually long term you can all get a Chromax, but obviously Mithrala's the way to get that one done for the average player. For even for the end game player, honestly, that's probably going to still be your best option. Night Revs. Again, we've got a Hex one in Night Revs. Manipulate skill cooldowns here as well, and it comes a bit later on. Nothing and Fear, True Fear in Night Revs as well. So a few different areas we're needing to deal with. So again, someone that we can all pick up. And then you got Tylesia here as well, so that's actually not too bad. I guess in terms of skill cooldowns, again, we've got a couple. We've got Sinesha. She's doing that on her A2, is it? Puts A target skills on cooldown, but you're going to be using sets, I think, to get this one done more often than not. Barbarians here. It's loads of stuns, but we've got plenty of champions for that. Provokes. Ally attacks. nothing too crazy there. Sylvan Watchers, place 4 taunts. So I think, is that Duoden that does that? Again, that's pretty niche to have that ready to go. So Emic in the mix, or Duodan, or Green Warden as well. But yeah, that is pretty specific. I mean, Duodan is, again, it's achievable long term, but damn, it's not easy to get a specific epic, you know, if you've been playing for just a little while, especially if you're a free-to-player. Got Leech here in Shadowkin, lands 60 hits on enemies that are under Leech again. And we've got another Perfect Veil one. I feel like Perfect Veil ones might end up being some of the tricky ones, actually. Okay, no, we've got a few in this faction that can do it, so that's not so bad. Just check the Leech as well. And again, a few. So that feels pretty good in terms of number of epics. You might need to build out some champions that you don't currently really use. You could see there, for me, that was the same. And then Dwarves, reduce 6+ enemies HP with 1 skill by 50%. I mean, that feels pretty mad. Manipulate skill cooldowns, but nothing too new in that one. Yeah, so I guess the big takeaway for me here is we're going to be needing to use a much wider roster. And you're going to need to be like preparing pretty hard for the challenges if you want to get those 3 stars like straight away. We're also going to need to be moving gear around a lot more than I think we've done even so far, unless you've been like a hardcore Cintranos player. And yeah, I think we're going to end up building out some of those epics that perhaps have been living in the vaults for the last year or two to help us get some of those challenges done. But let me know what you think of it. Are there any there which scare you? Any there where you think, oh my God, what are Raid even thinking? And yeah, I'll do a deep dive on bosses for tomorrow. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.